Hello, my name is David Powell. I'm a music composer, arranger, producer, and recording engineer, although not necessarily in that order, and welcome to my studio. As I make this recording, it is early in the morning on June 30th, 2009, and as anybody in the world that's got any sort of contact at all with the outside world knows, Michael Jackson died last Thursday, June 25th, 2009. And that's the reason I'm here today, and I imagine that's the reason you're here too. Everybody's got their own ideas, feelings, or opinions about Michael Jackson, but I'm not here to discuss any of that. The reason I'm here is I happen to have 2 to 3 6 degrees of separation stories about Michael Jackson and myself, and these are stories that I've enjoyed telling friends for years now. But after his death, and my goodness, with all the interest and everything and the internet, I said, why not? Let me go on and tell my stories. I've never done anything quite like this before, and I want to keep it moving and interesting for you, but I also have some history and some details I'd like to add to the stories that will be interesting to probably mostly musicians. But I hope you all enjoy my stories of Michael Jackson and me, a 6 degrees story. Oh, one thing before I forget, like just about everybody else did, on the very same day, about 6 hours earlier, I believe, another cultural icon died, Farrah Fawcett. And she had the bad timing to do that because all the news sure would have been about her, because she definitely was an icon of the 70s that I'll never forget. I certainly had her poster. So I'm awfully sorry to hear about that, but I have no Farrah Fawcett stories. I'm sorry. If I did, I'd share those, but I have absolutely no Farrah Fawcett stories whatsoever. So anyhow, back to Michael Jackson and me. Back in 1982-83, I was in Southern California pursuing my career as a musician with my ultimate goal, writing music for movies and TV. I had just begun work on a project that was from a company back in Oklahoma where I had come from that was spending a lot more money than they ever had before on a project for a girl named Leslie Glassford, who sang and wrote her own Christian songs. And they had a big budget, and so we had an opportunity to work at a really nice studio and to get really good mastering done. Now, mastering is the process that after a tape like you see in the background rolling there, that's the kind of tape that they recorded albums on back in the 70s, 80s, before digital. And mastering would be the process where you would bring your tape in after you'd recorded it at the studio, and they would be the final step between the tape and having the records made. And they would do the final tweak of the sound to really give it that extra polish and stuff before it goes out. And Bernie Grundman was one of the masters at Hollywood, and we had the ability to use Bernie Grundman to master this project for us. So I get a call one evening, and it's Bernie Grundman's mastering lab telling me that the mastering is completed on our project and for me to come down and pick it up. And this was like, kind of in the evening, maybe around 8 o'clock or so. And my good friend Alan Spears, who unfortunately is no longer with us, went with me downtown Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard, where Bernie Grundman had his mastering lab, to pick up the project that we had worked on. So we park the car out front, we walk in the front door, and there is absolutely no one whatsoever in the waiting room. And it's just absolutely bare blank. There's a big wooden table where, somebody would be behind if there was somebody there. And I don't remember anything in there, any plants or anything. It just looked naked, just bare. Except for one thing, right in the center of the desk was a tape, a recording tape like the one back here you're seeing. And we go over there and look to see what it is. It's got a label on it. And we look, and it is a 2-track, 30 IPS, half-inch Dolby A master tape recording of Thriller. Now, this was in sometime in '83. Thriller came out in November of '82. It is already, I think by now, the biggest selling album of all time. And my friend Alan and I sat there and we did one of those movie takes where we just looked at it and just slowly looked at each other and then back down at it, and we're going, are we seeing what we think we're seeing? And I'm thinking, boy, bootlegging had just really kind of started back in those days. It was just kind of getting popular, and I'm thinking, wow, man, what a great bootleg copy the original master of Thriller might make. So we're sitting there, we're not believing this, and to this day, I don't remember having anybody pick it up. I don't know if Bernie Grunman's listening to this. I apologize. I hope I don't get you in trouble. But we were definitely in there, and as far as I can tell, we could have walked out with the biggest selling album of all time, and still is, actual master tape, and just gotten in our car and just headed off. But being the good, moral gentlemen that we are, and maybe just a little lack of stupidity, we just thought about it. But anyhow, that was my first 6 degrees of separation with Michael Jackson, my time alone with the biggest album of all time, master recording. Obviously, I'm too long-winded to get all of my Michael Jackson stories in under 10 minutes, which is what YouTube requires. So I invite you to please check out Michael Jackson and Me, where the stories get better and better, Part 2. And I promise lots of comedy, a 6 degrees story, a shocking moment, and even a surprise ending with many, many superstars, I promise. Plus, you'll get to see how I helped to shape a big moment in Michael Jackson history. It's a true story. Thank you.